And even though parody had largely been abandoned by this stage in the Venture Brothers, it's used to incredible effect here because the Groovy Gang are genuinely terrifying.
Clues to why I don't chain you to the back of my van and road haul you till you're nothing but a pelvis wearing a belt.
Flynn's Arcade.
Hi, this is Flynn's Arcade, and this is my video about the Venture Brothers episode Viva Los Muertos, with special reference to this book here. Let's go. Dr. Venture has created a monster out of the bodies of fallen henchmen, and this causes Brock to have a psychological crisis at the worst possible moment because a gang of dangerous criminals have broken into the Venture compound. This is famously the only episode of the Venture Brothers that was written by somebody who isn't Jackson Public or Doc Hammer. The author is Ben Edlund, and he's a close friend of the pair, and he's been involved with the show since its inception. Most of the action in this episode takes place at night and during a thunderstorm, which gives the episode a real atmosphere of gothic horror. One of the most terrifying and moving sequences in this episode is this one, where the boys discover their clone tanks.
Like look! What is this?
I don't know, Hank.
You're not ghosts. You're the f***ing boys from Brazil.
This is a major plot point in the Ventureverse, and it's handled with real gravitas. The animation style is beautiful, and it brings out the horror of Hank and Dean's very existence. There's an incredibly powerful use of psychedelia here.
Empathy.
Better, Dolphin.
Samson!
Hunter?
What is all this namby-pamby feel bad about good wet work boost? Carry on, good and evil Superman. You work for the government.
The book describes how Ben may or may not have taken ayahuasca on a trip to Peru, and how he calls upon his alleged experiences when writing this scene. I love this sequence. To me, it looks like Brock's higher self is invoking his old mentor to override the imagery put in his brain by the shaman. And his quote in Friedrich Nietzsche just makes this clip so like next level. It's absolutely beautiful. I studied Frankenstein, or the myth of the modern Prometheus, for my A-level in English literature, and this episode is heavily influenced by it.
They're twisting!
Yeah, well, Stiff will do that. You shove a gigavolt up its ass.
No! He's alive! Alive, I tell you!
Ah, sure, Doc. Holy sh...
And here we see a reference to the 1931 film Frankenstein.
Look, it's moving. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
The book describes how Ben read the original pitch book, which described the use of parody in the Venture Brothers before writing this episode. And even though parody had largely been abandoned by this stage in the Venture Brothers, it's used to incredible effect here because the Groovy Gang are genuinely terrifying.
Clues to why I don't chain you to the back of my van and road haul you till you're nothing but a pelvis wearing a belt.
Shout out to Billy Smolder, who says in his video on this episode that it's a great introduction to the Ventureverse for new viewers. The inclusion of Scooby-Doo and Frankenstein provides a really nice anchor as a reference point to any new viewers. So if you've got any friends that you'd like to introduce to the Venture Brothers, please show them this episode. The inclusion of real-life criminals adds an edgy element of horror to this episode, which makes it apparent that it's going to contain a lot of adult themes. There's some nice action in this episode. So that's the cold open to the episode, and it's shown from the perspective of a so far unknown henchman. So it's really quite dramatic, and to me it's really evocative of the film Saving Private Ryan, at least the opening sequence of that. And here we see some scathing social commentary.
Hi!
I'm Everyday Joe. I speak for you because, well, heck, I am you. And sometimes I catch both of us wondering, hey, what's good about child labor?
So that's really grim. If you look carefully at the logo of the sneakers on the production line, it looks very similar to a logo of a very famous brand of sportswear. If you're watching this video, I'm pretty darn sure that you've seen The Tick, which was written by Ben Edlund. If you haven't, please check it out. When I was researching this video, I watched loads of the episodes of the live action version which starred Patrick Warburton, so give it a go, it's really good. Whilst this episode is all horror, the live action Tick's actually incredibly heartwarming and positive in tone. So if you're a bit creeped out after the events of this Venture Brothers episode, because it is pretty dark, go and watch some of those because they're really heartwarming. And speaking of heartwarming, this is the final scene of this episode.
That's the game plan. Shoo! And oh man, no, they're not gonna give it up for a shoe you made out of a dog. Hey, forget it, V, it's my treat.
I just love the way the sun's come up, indicating that the horror of this episode is finally over. I love the way that Venturstein's wearing Hank's mask. I love the way that he shouts Brock's good at the end of the episode because it really closes everything off really nicely. The only thing that I didn't love so much was the fact that they were going to meet a prostitute. It made me a bit concerned that they were actually going to try and pick up the lady that we saw in the Fallen Archers episode. I hope she retires, or at least she doesn't encounter anyone from this universe ever again, because it didn't go well for her last time, and I don't think it will go well for her this time either. Considering all the horror in this episode, it's great to see Venturstein providing some much needed comic relief. I especially like this comment by Dr. Venture in response to the newly resurrected Venturstein calling him father.
Father! Oh, no. Oh, no. Don't think of me as your father, please. I get enough of that noise from these two.
Yeah, he's such a scumbag. I mean, that's a terrible way to speak about his kids, but that's who he is and that's what he does. And here we see the surreal scene where Venturstein has breakfast with the family.
And Venturstein is all like, "Arr, Brock, bad!
Brock, bad! Oh, Mr. Venture,
I just find it quite funny that Venturstein's having breakfast with the family in an attempt to make him more human, and by doing so he ends up making the boys behave like him, so it works in the opposite way that Dr. Venture was hoping for. And here we see Dr. Orpheus's reaction to Venturstein's condition.
Is that man dead? No. Once again, Mr. Venture, you cut decency to the quick and leave her to die in Prostitute Alley! Prostitute!
Prostitutes.
Prostitute!
Prostitute.
I just love the way that Dr. Orpheus is moralising, ends up with a new concept being introduced to Venturstein in the form of Prostitute Alley. I particularly enjoyed the use of Hanna-Barbera sound effects, as we see here.
Breeding in the cow pasture, or they could go off to the nearest suicide center where they'll be quietly gassed to death.
Come on, guys!
Val, don't.
I mean, that's so dark. It's like Val's making a pass at Patty there, and then they use the sound effects to illustrate it. I just think that's all kinds of funny. This episode ponders on the nature of morality. Brock's crisis of ethics and its resolution are genuinely profound, and Dr. Venture continues his moral decline despite the protests of Dr. Orpheus. But this is all thrown into question when they're faced with a genuine evil in the form of the Groovy Gang. The inclusion of Venturstein is a nice touch because we're left pondering the nature of humanity and what our purpose as individuals is. As Hunter says, you can't teach a hammer to love nails.
You can't teach a hammer to love nails, son.
In this episode, Brock suffers a dark night of the soul and he turns to Dr. Orpheus for help.
Everyone, The sacred death vine ceremony is about to begin. Allow me to introduce our guide. Don Rio Impossible is a bonko, one of the Amazon's most learned shaman.
So despite being talked up quite well by Dr. Orpheus, who introduces a new character in the form of the shaman, he is presented as the voice of spiritual wisdom for Brock during his hour of need, but his words don't provide any comfort.
One time, I'm on the Amazon in my canoe, and I see Swim, the dolphin, the beautiful dolphin. So I slip out of my canoe, and I grab her, this fish, and then I eat this fish.
Hell's that got to do with anything?
Hot dolphin!
So the shaman's not really that helpful. I don't know if he's just talking shite or whether he, whether we're not on the right spiritual plane to understand his words of wisdom, but it certainly doesn't provide any assistance to Brock. In fact, it seems to anger him more than anything. This episode also introduces the new character Venturstein.
Short bus seat warmer.
But you did kill him, and then when I unkilled him, you kind of did it again.
You hit him so hard he's got an afro now.
Yeah, you're like fire to his Frankenstein.
Venturestein.
So he's terrified of Brock because Brock manages to unalive him not once but twice. And like the monster in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, he appears to retain memories of his former life. And here we meet the Groovy Gang.
Darn, out of gas. Hey gang, dig this! Looks like some sort of secret abandoned military base.
Patriarchal white pig square's nest.
But the Groovy Gang are a genuinely unsettling band of misfits who roam around solving mysteries. However, considering the nature of the people they're based on, I can't imagine them doing anything wholesome or positive for that matter.
Far out, Val, but something's fishy in the state of Denmark. I can feel a mystery coming on.
Ted, you said I could see my parents.
This was on the way, Patty.
We've been driving to my parents' house for 10 years.
There's a nice little reference there to Hamlet where he says there's something fishy in the state of Denmark. Ted appears to be the leader of the Groovy Gang, and he's based on the serial killer Ted Bundy. He's genuinely malevolent and he treats the whole gang incredibly poorly. Val is based on Valerie Solanas, who was a misandrist extremist who attempted to assassinate Andy Warhol. She quotes Solanas' Scum Manifesto throughout the episode, but she's all talk and we don't see her do anything violent. Patty is based on the real-life kidnapped heiress Patty Hearst, who was actually mentioned back in the Venture Brothers episode, The Incredible Mr. Brisby. She's the most sympathetic member of the gang, and she's only there because Ted kidnapped her, and it seems that she's been on the run with him for 10 years. And here we meet the rest of the gang, Sonny and Groovy.
Yours is the sword of Michael.
Hey, Sonny!
Shut up! Shut up! Damn it! I can't hear myself think!
Come on, Sonny. Mystery.
You're mystery man. I'm sick.
Sonny?
They're a reference to the real-life serial killer David Berkowitz, who was depicted in the film The Summer of Sam, which featured him being tortured by the delusions of a talking dog.
Leave me alone! What do you want?
I want you to go out and kill. Kill! Kill! Kill!
They might seem pathetic, but we find out that they're actually responsible for one of the deaths of Hank and Dean.
What happened?
They freaked me, man.
So that's horrible.
Got to learn to respect and not to harsh Ted's mellow.
Boys! Brock got the X1 started. Let's go. Don't make me come down there, boys. These are my dress-up shoes.
And it's also one of the saddest deaths of Hank and Dean that I've seen. I really don't like the way that Dr. Venture says, don't let me come down here, boys, and the fact they get dropped down the pit. Yeah, I'm really quite pleased to see what happens to Sonny and Groovy in this episode. So I really struggle to sympathise when we get to see their fate at the hands of a newly invigorated Brock here.
I'm so cold. I'm so cold.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, and shout out to Venturstein for doing in the dogged as well. Like, good riddance to bad rubbish. I'm giving this episode a 10. I absolutely loved it the first time I saw it, and I was a bit concerned on my rewatch that I wouldn't enjoy it so much on account of it having a different writer, but I'm really pleased to say that my fears weren't realised. I still think it's absolutely awesome. I absolutely loved the storyline with the Groovy Gang. I still find them terrifying, and I think it was really clever to illustrate Scooby-Doo's gang with, you know, genuine dangerous criminals. I thought it was a clever twist back in the day. I still think it's a clever twist. So let me know what you think. Did you love this episode as much as I did? Did you find it as creepy as I did? Because it was really spooky. I mean, last week we had I Know Why the Caged Bird Kills, which was a pretty spooky episode, and this one is just as spooky but in a different way. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you love this episode as much as I do? Did you find it spooky? Did you find the Groovy Gang terrifying? Because I know I did. Please let me know if you disagree in any way. I mean, they were obviously incredibly cartoonish, but that actually made them more sinister in a way. If you don't know what to write, could you please just drop me a Go Team Venture or an Ignore Me or a Spanakopita, because apparently comments really help the channel become more visible. If you've enjoyed this video, I've made a lot of videos about the Venture Brothers, so please check out my Venture Brothers playlist. I had a really nice incident off the back of making this series that I wanted to share with you. A few months ago, and this was the day I made my video on home insecurity, I think it was, I went to the pub and I met some mutual friends, and I started speaking to a lady who said that she was into animation, so I thought, I'll drop the Venture Brothers comment just to see if she likes it. And it turns out I was sat next to a massive Venture Brothers fan, which was really exciting because they're not that commonplace in the UK. And you know, and that was obviously very exciting, but I actually went to the same pub very recently, and she said that she'd been watching my videos, so that completely made my day. So hello, it's nice to see you, and if you're watching this, yeah, hello again. It really made me very happy, and I thought it was very heartwarming that you were watching it. So yeah, thanks for that memory. If you've enjoyed the video, please could you drop me a like, and if you haven't already, please could you subscribe to the channel. So unless anything comes up in the meantime, I'll see you next Sunday.